What's fantastic about Capitol Day is the fact that not only do we have an opportunity to get together in the morning sessions and learn some stuff, it's coming to the Capitol and actually hearing from our legislative leadership and being able to come in and surround the walls here in room 216 is always a lot of fun. But again, y'all come on in and find your spot, because we got a little bit more room. But it's been tradition, at least for the last 8 years. We have kicked off our morning session here at the briefing with our Speaker of the House, Philip Gunn. And we'll get to do that again for one more time. And I'm very excited about this final session that we're going to be working with the Speaker. He and I met last week, and we talked for a few minutes about really the great things that has transpired during the time he has served as Speaker of the House. And I think we've been very fortunate in the business community to have an ally in Philip Gunn. And it's really been rewarding to see the things that we've worked on together get put into legislation and actually have a major impact on improving the state of Mississippi. So, Speaker, thank you for what you've done. It has been truly a pleasure, and I look forward to working with you one more session. And then hopefully, whatever transpires after that, we have that opportunity to continue to work together. So please join me in welcoming Speaker Philip Gunn.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to be with you, and it's always a pleasure to welcome you to the Capitol. This is always an exciting day, and we're thrilled to have our business community come to the Capitol. We love working in conjunction with you. We were a little concerned about where you were. Scott said y'all were supposed to be here at 10:30, and I said, well, you must have some legislators driving the buses. They don't. It's not that hard. You get on High Street and you come up the hill. I'll tell you kind of a funny story. My, I guess first or second year as Speaker, we brought forward a charter school bill trying to give more opportunities for educational opportunities to our students. My aunt from Missouri was here. That debate on that bill is the longest debate in the history of the Mississippi legislature. It went for about 11 hours. It started at 2 in the afternoon and went to about 1 o'clock in the morning. My aunt from Missouri, who was here, watched it for about 8 hours. She stayed about 10 o'clock and she couldn't take it anymore and she went home. So I didn't see her till the next morning. And I said, well, Aunt Peggy, tell me what you thought about the debate. And she said, if there was ever evidence of the need for education reform in Mississippi, it's the Mississippi legislature. She said, I couldn't believe some of the stupid arguments that I heard on the House floor. So she wasn't that impressed. I think I got about 8 minutes to talk about a lot of things. Let me touch on just a few things that Scott says are important to MEC this year. There were 3 things that he mentioned: transportation funding, workforce development, and then one thing I want to touch on is the income tax. We have here y'all's report from last year, stronger than ever. This is what you produced at your 2022 annual meeting last June. And within that, you talk about legislative accomplishments. And one of those was the personal income tax reduction right there at the bottom of the page. I want to thank you for your help in what we did last year. Many of you have heard me speak about the advantages of eliminating the personal income tax, how that helps Mississippians, how that puts more money into their pockets. When you give them more disposable income, they're going to have a better ability to provide for themselves, improve their quality of life, provide for their children, spend those dollars in the community. How many of you sell a good or a service? Everybody in here sells a good or service. If you got a job, you're selling a good or you're selling a service. So if we put more money in their pockets, they're going to buy more stuff. They're going to buy more of the stuff that you're selling. They have more to give to their church. There's just no downside to letting people have more disposable income. You helped us last year get that message across, and we changed our tax structure last year to go to a flat 4% tax rate. What we did last year has been touted all across the country. I had no idea how many people were watching Mississippi and our efforts to eliminate the income tax. That's still a goal of mine, eliminate the income tax. And we may have to take steps along the way over the next few years to get there, but we're going to hopefully find a day, come to a day at some point, where the citizens of our state get to keep all of their hard-earned money. So I wanted to, first of all, point that out. Thank you for your help and efforts in getting us there. And I'm proud to see that you listed 4 accomplishments last year. One of them was the elimination of the income, or the reduction of the income tax. 2 other things that Scott's mentioned when we met a couple of weeks ago was transportation. I want to brag on a couple of guys. Trey Lamar is over here. Raise your hand, Trey. And Jason White, standing over there. And then there was a guy named Mark Baker, who's no longer in the House. But in 2018, we passed a very transformative transportation bill. We took some of our use tax, dollars that we already have. This didn't raise a tax anywhere. We just took money that was already coming in and passed an Infrastructure and Modernization Act. And under this bill, we devote 1/3 of the use tax to transportation, to roads, bridges. At that time, it was about $120 million. I haven't checked to see what the number is lately, but at that time, it was $120 million. Every year, we took $20 million, we put it into the local bridge program, we took $50 million and gave it to the counties, and we took $50 million and gave it to the cities every year. And that has been happening every year since 2018. At that time, when we passed that bill, I think there were almost 700 bridges around this state that were closed or posted. It was in excess of 600, I know that. And I think it was approaching 700. Mike, do you remember how many? Is that about right? When I last checked, 4 years later, after the passage of the bill, we're down to 288. That's how many bridges have been repaired around this state. The plan is working. And these gentlemen that I just pointed to were the brains behind that. They were the ones who developed that plan, brought it up to the House of Representatives. We passed it, the Senate passed it, and that plan has begun to work over the last 4 years, and we're seeing improvements in our transportation and roads and bridges and infrastructure around the state. In addition to that, we've done a whole host of other things. We put a portion of the lottery money towards roads and bridges. Each year we designate and appropriate money towards roads and bridges, and all these things have worked together to make improvements. We're going to continue to do that this year. We're going to continue to push to make sure that our infrastructure is addressed. Second thing, or the last thing, is workforce development. And to make this point, let me tell you about a conversation I had last summer, well, 2 summers ago now. There was an individual here in Jackson from the Association of Equipment Manufacturers. This guy was out of Washington, D.C., and his job was to go around the country and select sites for companies. And as a matter of conversation, just as curiosity, I said, tell me what the number one thing is you look for. When you're going to a state, going to a city, and you're looking to recommend a site to this company, what's the number one thing you look for? He said, workforce. You gotta have a good, educated, reliable workforce, or you don't even get on the list. Number 2 was infrastructure. Well, I think that highlights the importance of both of those things. So last year, we passed House Bill 1388, which was the Comprehensive Career and Technical Education Reform Act. It sounds impressive, doesn't it? It was a workforce development bill, and what we did under this bill was to create and put into all middle schools and high schools around the state career coaches. And their job is to sit there and guide students, tell students about career technical job opportunities, steer them towards those professions, make them aware of the jobs that exist, because many of our students, about 60% of our workforce, I think, is in those type of professions, those types of jobs, welders, mechanics, electricians, plumbers, good careers where they can make great money. So we put, under this bill, career coaches in the high schools and middle schools. This year, we're going to put more money there. We want to make, this is probably the most exciting thing about this bill is the career coaches. We've heard more feedback from people about the excitement surrounding the career coaches. So we're going to, hopefully this year, put more money towards that, put a great emphasis on our workforce development. Under this bill, we have asked the Department of Education and the Community College Board to work together to create dual enrollment classes to align the classes that they offer so that they're addressing the industry needs. They're looking at the job markets around the state, which changes from region to region in many cases. Are we giving the type of education that addresses the job market in Laurel, Mississippi, in Greenwood, Mississippi, in DeSoto County? Let's make sure that the education we are providing aligns with the job market that exists. I want to commend Donnie Bell, who's my workforce chair, who was the lead on this. I want to commend Ryan Miller, who's at the Office of Workforce Development. The two of them worked together to put this bill together. We had some ideas. We didn't know if they were good or not. I called Ryan to my office and said, here's the bill we want to draft. You take it, you tweak it, you fix it like you think it ought to be fixed so that we can accomplish what we're trying to do in the area of workforce development. He did that, we passed the bill, and we're hopeful that that bill will transform the landscape of workforce development. Pretty much out of time. Those are kind of the three things that I think Scott tells me are important to you: transportation, workforce, and I just want to say thank you for the income tax. Let me close with this. Many of you may have heard this before, but if you have, you'll just have to endure it again. I spoke in here one time to a group of third graders, and you know, your speech doesn't always connect. When you come in here and I try to communicate with you, sometimes I don't always succeed. A group of third graders came here one time, and their teacher wanted me to speak to them. I said, what do you want me to tell them about? She said, I want you to tell them how a bill becomes a law. I was like, my gosh, are you sure? And she said, oh yeah, they need to know this. And I said, they're in the third grade. And she said, oh, but this is the gifted class. These are the smart ones. They can get it. I said, okay, so you are clearly politically minded. You're here today because you are concerned about the legislative process, right? So you need to understand this too. A bill starts when a legislator comes in with an idea and they go to see the attorneys. The attorneys draft the bill and they send it to the Speaker's office. The Speaker then refers the bill to the committee, and the committee chairman refers it to the subcommittee chairman. The subcommittee chairman deals with the bill. They like it, they pass it out to the full committee. If the full committee likes it, it comes to the full House floor. If the House passes the bill, then it goes to the Lieutenant Governor's office, where he then assigns the bill to the chairman of the committee. The chairman of the committee assigns it to the subcommittee. If the subcommittee passes it, it comes out to the full committee. If the full committee likes it, it goes to the full Senate. If they pass it, then it goes to the governor for signing. But if they change the bill in any way, it comes back over to the House for concurrence or non-concurrence. If we agree with the changes, then we send the bill to the governor. But if we don't agree with the changes, then we send the bill to conference. In conference, the lieutenant governor puts up 3 senators, the speaker puts up 3 House members. Those 6 individuals sit in a room and hammer out the differences. If they come to an agreement, they produce what's called a conference report. Conference report is returned to both chambers for consideration. If both chambers pass a conference report, then it goes to the governor for signing. But at any time, the governor can veto the bill. If he vetoes the bill, then it comes back to the House of Origination for override. If one chamber overrides by a 2/3 vote, then it goes to the other chamber. And if they override by a 2/3 vote, then the bill becomes law. Any questions? Third grader sitting on the front row raised his hand. I said, yes, sir. He said, you like pizza? I said, yes, I do, and you're qualified to be a legislator. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know if we're going to have any pizza at our reception down at the Trade Mart in a few minutes, but I will promise you we've got a lot of Gulf Coast shrimp on the menu, so hope y'all can join us. Our next speaker is someone that I had the privilege to get to know when I first started lobbying, and that is Senator Dean Kirby. He serves as our Senate Pro Tem. He's served in a lot of capacities over the years, and many of those he's worked with MEC to help us push through things such as extending the retirement time for teachers to make sure our best teachers stay in the classroom longer, and some of those important things that we've done through the years. But it's always been great to have that relationship with him and the work that he continues to do as now the Senate President Pro Tem. We're very excited to have him with us this morning, Senator Dean Kirby.
Thank you. He's taller than I am. Thank you. You know what? I was thinking just a while ago when you guys were coming in, I saw all the smiles and everyone was happy. And it reminded me of our first day this week. Usually when we come in, everyone's happy and giving high fives and hugs and all these things, you know. And I walked in the first day and two people were debating of something that we're going to do this year. But as soon as I got off the elevator, and they were both mad at each other, and I could tell it, two senators. And so I walked around the corner, and the ladies that are always smiling there on the third floor were frowning. I said, what in the heck is going on? So I walk in, and the committee assistant was frowning. And I thought, well, you know, I must have done something. I don't know. And then it dawned on me what the problem is. People were not happy. They were sad. And it's election year. And it suddenly dawned on me, when it's not election year, people are happier than so. But anyway, I'm honored to be here, and I appreciate you guys being here. You know, the real leaders of our state are here. We'd like to say we are, but we understand, and you understand, that the real leaders are here, and you're the ones that make our economy grow. You're the ones that make things happen in this state. We try to help you, and that's our job. For years, the number one issue when we come in session, for years, and this is my 32nd session, so I've been here a while. It seemed like every year, the number one issue was always education. Every year. Started changing a couple of years ago. And then last year we did so much for education, we're not hearing a lot about education now. Our teachers, I think, are happy with their raises, and they've got really good raises. You know, I think everyone's pretty satisfied. We got all these A schools now that have come up from C and D schools to A and B schools. So, you know, things are really good there. What we're hearing, or what I'm hearing, and I can't speak for everyone else, but the number one topic now is revenue, without a doubt. People want to know how much money you got and how much you're going to give us, and where's it going. That's the number one issue that I'm hearing. Number two issue that I'm hearing is crime and safety. People, you know, it doesn't matter how good your school is, if your children aren't safe there, they don't want to go in there. People don't want to go to a shopping center, or don't want to go to wherever. I hate to say it, but some places, maybe even church, may not want to go because they don't feel safe getting there, or they don't want their cars broken into, or they don't want to be carjacked or whatever. So what I'm hearing, that's the number two issue. And then number three is education. We're always going to have those that are trying to get more, and we understand that, and we want to do all we can for them. But that's the big thing. Now, I got actually a couple of notes, and I'm going to read some of this because of the fact that I can't remember all these numbers. There's been so many. But I want to talk a little bit about ARPA money. And in the water sewer infrastructure programs, applications closed the first round, as you know, and the grants and the city and the rural water associations. And the rural water association, which was administered by the Mississippi Department of Health, they had like $300 million, and 287 applicants received, and 132 projects were funded, with 52 million. 52 million of that was shovel-ready projects, ready to go. You guys were waiting on the money, and so you got that. And then cities and counties, Mississippi Department, or DEQ, as you know it, Department of Environmental Quality, they had $450 million. Application portal closed on September the 30th with about $435 million in applications. Second round application portal then open on December the 1st. So there's still, and those will be awarded, I think, before February the 1st. Now, we have about $345 million in unappropriated ARPA money, and that includes $50 million that was vetoed for a hospital. And anyway, we're seeking the best use of those funds. I'd say it'd go probably to emergency water and sewer needs. Now, let me tell you about infrastructure. We've invested heavily in infrastructure last year, and as the speaker said, in the years before, and we intend to do that again as the money comes in. At the end of November, we were a little over $347 million above the sine die revenue estimate. 277.9 million of that was above the prior year's collections. So money is coming in, as you can see. For the first year ending June 2022, we were up $1.4 billion, but the growth in the current year shows 23.6 million above sine die in November versus 84.5 in October of the month before. You see how it dropped, and then versus 126 in September. So revenues are going down. You know, we all want to spend the money in the proper place, and we want to make sure we're doing the right thing. What we got to do is, again, be conservative, make sure that we have enough money for emergencies and for those that really have to have it. There's a lot of difference, as you know, between needs and wants. So we got to take care of the needs before we do the wants. But we've invested in infrastructure. We're going to continue to invest in infrastructure. We want to help you guys every way we can. And as a guy told me one time, I've never heard a bad short speech. Thank you very much.
We appreciate you joining us today. Our next two speakers are here because they chair committees that make a big difference in how we actually look at, again, business climate, particularly from a tax perspective and how we do it. Senator Josh Harkins chairs the Senate Finance Committee. Representative Trey Lamar chairs the House Ways and Means Committee. We've worked with both of these gentlemen on a regular basis over the last 3 years to focus on making sure that as we look at our tax structure, as we look at things that are important to our state, that we're doing it in a way that has a positive impact on business. We're going to start with Senator Harkins and let him talk for just a minute, and then he'll be followed by Chairman Lamar.
Well, thank you. I'll be brief because I'm standing in between a big room and lunch, so I'll keep my remarks brief. But I do want to say thank you to all of you. You're the lifeblood of our state. You are the engine that helps to make everything go. And I think that I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you how much I appreciate you as a small business owner. I understand the risk you take. I understand the problems you face. And I just appreciate everything you do, and I appreciate the advocacy work y'all do up here. It matters, it helps. I'm in real estate and construction. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a CPA. There are a lot of things that I'm not. So we rely on you in the business community for your advice and to tell us, what is the real world experience of the legislation that we're passing. I don't know how many of y'all grew up roller skating at all. Anybody? Well, I tell people that sometimes legislation is like slow couple skate. It's, you're going in one direction, you got a partner, you got to watch out for the other partner, you got to watch out for the other people skating. Then the DJ tells you to switch directions and you got to turn around and go back the other way. A lot of the things we work on up here are not easy, they're cumbersome, and it takes a lot of give and take, and just working with my colleague, Representative Lamar, we've had a great relationship, but it takes a lot of the influence and input from you, the business community, to really help us. I think the goal that we have, the goal that I strive personally is to want to make the environment in Mississippi one that's conducive for you to prosper and grow. When the economy is doing well, when people are working, then we can worry about other issues. That's my goal. I've always taken great pride. Every month I always look in we get a mail out of the unemployment rate in Mississippi, and I check my district. It's been one of the lowest in the state the entire time I've been elected here. And I know that's what people in my district expect. They want jobs, they want economic opportunity and growth. So I think that this past session was one of the most remarkable sessions I think that I've had in the 11, this will be the 12th year that I've been here. Usually in a session you may have 3, maybe 4 major pieces of policy that get pushed through. I think we did 7 or 8. I mean, it was just nonstop from the first weekend, it was one thing after another, and I guess I can use this term here. It was really taxing, and it'd be okay. But I think we accomplished a lot this past session, and you know, the things that I'm really proud of, I think that are impactful to you. I think like Speaker Gunn hit on, was the infrastructure, our roads. This past session, we gave MDOT a really, we pushed a lot on them, giving them capacity and maintenance projects for 2 years. We funded that. I hope we'll do that again, consider doing that again this year. Was put our road system in better shape, and obviously you heard the number of bridges that have been repaired. That's important to you. If you can't get your product out to market, that's a hindrance to you. That does not help you prosper and grow. I think the other thing that we looked at, obviously the taxes, the situation, everybody benefits from lower taxes. We'll continue to work on that. But I think we're in a unique spot. I think it's important for us to recognize where we are and where our economy is, and be prudent in the way we move forward. And I think that's what we've tried to do. And I think we've got an aggressive plan out there cutting taxes. There are some other tax issues I think the MEC's been working on us with this year that we'll be addressing in the session. So I look forward to delving into those issues and getting some feedback from y'all. How does this impact your business? It's important. And I'll close with a story that I think my second year up here, I had a fourth grade homeschool student wrote me a letter, and one of their projects they had to do is they had to come up with an idea for a law. And so he wrote this paper about the idea he had for a law. And so I thought, well, I'm going to send this to the attorney that Speaker Gunn spoke about that drafts this legislation, and send him a copy of what his idea looks like as it was a bill. What I didn't know was that she filed it for me, and it was, it actually, part of it made it into a bill, a law. So if a fourth grader could come up with an idea that maybe can make it through the system, I'm sure the collective group in this room can also come up with ideas and have thoughts that may help us craft legislation that's beneficial to our state and the success of our state. So thank you again for what you do. I appreciate y'all being here, and be glad to work with y'all anytime. Thank you.